The cameras flashed so fast, they created this blinding, continuous strobe effect.
Oh, I can only imagine the energy in that crowd.
Yeah, the crowd at the 79th Annual Cannes Film Festival practically froze in place. Stepping out into the harsh light of the red carpet was a 32-year-old model in a pastel blue, feather-trimmed custom gown.
Right, and beside her, her husband stood rigid in this very classic black tuxedo.
Exactly. But the frenzy, the paparazzi, it wasn't about the couture at all. All the lenses were aimed squarely at her hands, which were gently cradling a very visible baby bump.
And just like that, Hollywood had a brand new obsession.
Welcome to Starscope Report. Join Jordan and Jamie as they uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
It's the kind of image that is engineered to just completely break the internet, right?
Oh, absolutely. But what the public consumed in that fraction of a second is a profoundly sanitized version of reality. Today, we are taking a massive stack of sources to unpack this. We've got LAPD police blotters, recent celebrity interviews, and deep dives into medical journals.
Yeah, we're really digging into the reality behind that viral headline. Barbara Palvin is pregnant, expecting first baby with Dylan Sprouse.
Right, because our mission for this deep dive is to strip away the glamour of that con photograph. The true story involves a terrifying home invasion in the dead of night, a silent, grueling medical battle, and a deeply unsettling clash with artificial intelligence.
We are going to look at the mechanics of modern fame and how a couple attempts to maintain their humanity when their physical and digital realities are, constantly under siege.
If you love uncovering the intricate, often dark layers hiding behind pop culture's most polished moments, make sure you subscribe to this deep dive. We have a lot of ground to cover.
We really do.
So let's start with the actual reveal at the premiere of Parallel Tales, because this wasn't just your standard PR drop.
Oh, far from it. I mean, this was a masterclass in hijacking your own narrative. Think about the traditional celebrity pregnancy announcement.
Right. Usually it's like a highly manicured magazine cover.
Exactly. Or a carefully lit Instagram photo with a perfectly workshopped caption. Here, they used the sheer scale of the Cannes Film Festival to their advantage.
She wore that blue dress, which immediately ignited this firestorm of gender speculation online. It's like they let the internet do the marketing for them.
Yeah, but then she didn't play coy when the reporters actually shoved microphones in her face on the steps.
No, she just laughed and said she chose Cannes simply because she, quote, couldn't hide it under a corset anymore. I found that fascinating.
It felt almost dismissive of the pomp and circumstance of the festival itself, didn't it?
Totally.
And that dismissiveness is a calculated strategy. By treating this massive global media event as just a convenient excuse for why her clothes didn't fit, she grounded the narrative. She reclaimed the power dynamic from the press.
And then, literally hours later, they executed what I can only describe as a digital Easter egg drop.
Oh, the Instagram post.
Yes. They posted a joint carousel on Instagram. It included the high-fashion con photos, but buried in the slide was a sonogram. And the fetus in the ultrasound appeared to be making a rock horn sign.
Which is, first of all, incredibly rare to catch on an ultrasound.
Right.
But it also perfectly aligns with their brand of irreverence.
Yeah, they even followed it up with a backstage photo of the two of them mimicking the exact same gesture, and they captioned it with 3 rock-on emojis.
It totally subverted the stuffy, sepia-tone earnestness we usually see from public figures.
And the industry response was instant. You had castmates from The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody chiming in. Cole posted 3 red hearts to his story.
Oh, and Brenda Song dropped congratulations in the comments.
Yeah, it was basically a digital block party. But later in the deep dive, we're going to explore the terrifying physical reality that makes this carefree attitude look like an absolute miracle.
Because the foundation of this relationship is incredibly unconventional.
They look like the perfect carefree couple now, but wait until you hear how disastrous their very first meeting was.
To understand how they reached this point of unbothered confidence, we have to examine their timeline. They definitely did not take the traditional Hollywood fast track.
Which brings us to 2017. They're both at a party. Barbara literally cuts Dylan in line.
Old move.
Right. He calls her out on it, and her immediate response is to look at a globally recognized actor and ask, "What are you, a hot dog vendor?"
I mean, it's just this staggering lack of deference. In an industry where people are constantly managing their proximity to fame, She completely refused to acknowledge his status.
And it clearly short-circuited his usual social scripts, because a year later, in 2018, he slides into her Instagram DMs with a very casual, "Hey, I don't know if you're in New York, but we should hang out. Here's my number."
And she completely ignores it.
She ghosts him for 6 months.
6 whole months.
I have to play devil's advocate here. Isn't ghosting someone for half a year just playing games? Or, like, manufacturing a sense of mystery?
Well, in a normal social ecosystem, maybe. But let's look at the environment they operate in. When you are a public figure, constantly pursued by people who want something from you.
Oh, like clout, access, validation.
Exactly. Silence is an incredibly effective filter. It forces a reset of the power dynamic.
That makes sense.
So when she finally texted him back, he was in China filming a movie. She flew out there, and their first official date happened on neutral ground.
Where she promptly stole a bite of his burrito, again establishing dominance over the Hollywood star.
Right, but I think the financial and professional realities here are what actually make this dynamic work. We aren't looking at the outdated trope of the wildly wealthy actor and the up-and-coming model who needs his platform.
That's a crucial piece of context. Barbara's net worth sits around $7 million. She's a Victoria's Secret angel, a L'Oreal ambassador.
She operates at the absolute zenith of the commercial modeling world. And Dylan's net worth is reported around $5 million.
So she technically out-earns him?
She out-earns him, and she exists in a completely separate professional sphere. They do not need each other for financial stability or career leverage.
That financial independence removes the transactional undertone that plagues so many celebrity romances. It allowed them to move at a shockingly normal pace.
Which is why their milestones feel so deliberate. They officially moved into a Brooklyn apartment in January of 2019.
And Dylan bought an engagement ring, but held on to it for 7 months before finally proposing on a camping trip in California in September of 2022.
7 months? That's wild.
Yeah, and she actually noted that she got suspicious because he packed a shirt that was, quote, too nice for camping.
I love that detail. It highlights the intimacy of their bond. She wasn't looking for paparazzi setup. She was just observing a shift in his baseline behavior.
They married in July 2023 on her family's property in Hungary. It reads like a grounded, modern fairy tale.
It really does.
But beneath the surface of this timeline, Barbara was fighting a profound battle for her own bodily autonomy. And this is the part of the story that completely recontextualizes that glowing con red carpet appearance.
Because the visual of her cradling her stomach wasn't just an announcement of new life. It was a victory lap after a grueling fight against her own body.
According to the medical background in our sources, in late 2025, Barbara underwent intensive surgery for endometriosis.
And we need to be clear about what this means because the term gets thrown around way too loosely.
Endometriosis is a chronic, deeply agonizing condition where tissue similar to the lining of the uterus grows outside of it. It causes severe pelvic pain, and crucially, it is heavily linked to major fertility struggles.
The psychological toll of endometriosis is often just as severe as the physical pain. It's a disease that affects millions of women, yet it suffers from a staggering lack of comprehensive medical research.
And it's a condition characterized by dismissal, right? Women are routinely told their severe pain is just normal.
It's exactly. Dylan noted in a recent interview that the surgery resulted in a massive recovery for her, bringing her pain levels down significantly.
So let's look back at the red carpet. When she told a reporter that this pregnancy made her feel more connected to her body than ever, that wasn't a generic PR soundbite about the magic of motherhood.
No, it was a profoundly specific statement. For years, her body was a source of chronic pain and betrayal. Endometriosis alienates you from your own physical form.
Wow.
So to successfully undergo surgery, recover, and then conceive that is a reclamation of her physical self.
But the moment she reclaimed her body, the internet attempted to steal it back.
Ugh, this part of the story is so frustrating.
It really highlights the dark side of modern fandom. Right around the time this pregnancy news was bubbling up in private, a digitally altered, entirely AI-generated image of Barbara with a pregnant belly started circulating on Instagram.
Mocked up to look like a Vogue magazine cover, right?
Yes. And because AI has become so sophisticated, it went incredibly viral. Thousands of people were completely fooled, flooding the comments with congratulations for a milestone that hadn't actually been announced yet.
I find this deeply disturbing.
Same. And I want to push back hard on this segment of the internet that casually defends this by saying, oh, it's just fan art, it's harmless.
It is not harmless.
Generating a highly realistic, fake pregnancy photo of a woman who has been publicly battling endometriosis and fertility issues is not art. It is a biological forgery.
That is exactly the right term for it. Biological forgery. It is an invasion of medical privacy disguised as admiration.
Think about the psychological impact. You are navigating the terrifying first trimester of a high-risk pregnancy after severe surgery, and you log on to Instagram to see an algorithm's hallucination of what your pregnant body should look like, packaged as a fake magazine cover.
It's stripping her of the agency to share her own biological timeline. It speaks to a dangerous evolution in parasocial relationships.
Yeah, fans no longer just want to consume the media a celebrity produces.
Right, they feel entitled to author the celebrity's personal milestones. When you use AI to fabricate a deeply personal, medically fraught reality, you are completely eroding the boundary between public figure and public property.
It's a complete violation of their digital boundaries, but incredibly, that wasn't even the scariest part of their year.
Not even close.
Because the violation of their digital boundaries was just a precursor to a literal, terrifying violation of their physical boundaries.
Yeah, the digital invasion is psychological. But what happened next was a very real, very physical threat to their safety.
If you're finding this unraveling of Hollywood's polished surface as fascinating as we are, take a second to hit subscribe. We've got even crazier stories ahead, and the story takes a really sharp turn here.
It does.
Let's lay out the facts from the police reports. It is April 17th, 2026. Roughly 12:30 in the morning. Barbara and Dylan are asleep at their home in the Hollywood Hills.
And they bought this property off market back in 2021 for $1.8 million, right?
Right. It's now valued around $2 million. And I want to focus on the real estate for a second because it's highly relevant to their security profile.
Yeah, a $1.8 million home in the Hollywood Hills is a nice property, sure, but it is not a sprawling fortress-like compound in Calabasas with private roads and a 24-hour security detail.
No, it's a 1,700 square foot Spanish-style home. It is relatively accessible.
They clearly valued a sense of normalcy over living in a bunker.
The property is surrounded by no trespassing signs. But, those signs didn't stop anything. At 12:30 a.m., Barbara has to dial the LAPD to report a creepy guy lurking immediately outside their home. She reported it as a potential robbery in progress.
And this is where the narrative shifts from your standard Hollywood break-in story to something much more visceral. They didn't just lock the bedroom door and wait for the police.
Dylan took physical action. According to the reports, he went outside, confronted the trespasser, and literally tackled him to the ground.
Wait, he tackled him?
Tackled him. And he reportedly held the intruder at gunpoint on the property until the LAPD arrived to make the formal arrest.
That is terrifying.
Thankfully, no one was injured, and the suspect never made it across the threshold into the house. But here is the massive piece of context that TMZ confirmed later, which completely shatters how we look at this event. Barbara was already pregnant when this happened.
Wow. That changes the entire psychological profile of the incident. Dylan wasn't just protecting a 1,700 square foot house or defending his property value.
Right.
He was actively defending his pregnant wife and their unborn child from an unknown nighttime threat.
My theory is that the single event is the key to understanding everything we saw at Cannes just 3 weeks later. Think about the kinesics, the body language on that red carpet.
Yeah, the photos.
Dylan was in a tuxedo, smiling for the cameras, but his arm was wrapped like a vice around Barbara. That isn't just the standard proud husband pose.
No, that is the hypervigilance of a man who, less than a month prior, had to physically tackle a threat to his family in the dark. I completely agree. It is the posture of a survivor. When you look at the footage from the Devil Wears Prada 2 premiere, which happened shortly after the arrest, a reporter asked how they were doing. Dylan's response was incredibly clipped.
What did he say?
He just said, "We're good, we're happy, enough said."
Enough said. That's the boundary right there.
Exactly. It's an unspoken acknowledgement that the public gets the smile and the photo, but they do not get access to the trauma. He forcefully secured his family's safety, and at Cannes, he was projecting a barrier.
He is presenting his pregnant wife to the world, but he is physically anchoring her, signaling that the perimeter is secure.
It is the ultimate display of protective energy.
And frankly, knowing what they endured makes you want to root for them even harder. It's an incredible display of resilience to walk through that level of physical and digital anxiety and still have the humor to joke about a corset on the French Riviera.
It really is. But it also forces us to synthesize these disparate events.
Yeah.
You know, the medical battles, the AI forgery, the home invasion, they aren't just isolated incidents.
No, they are symptoms of the modern celebrity condition. Let's bring all those narrative threads together. The global headline was incredibly simple. Barbara Palvin and Dylan Sprouse are having a baby.
But through this deep dive, we've seen that this announcement was actually the culmination of a 9-year gauntlet.
A gauntlet that began with a refusal to play the Hollywood status game. It survived a 6-month digital freeze-out, proving that withholding access is sometimes the only way to build a genuine foundation.
And it grew into a partnership strong enough to weather the agonizing reality of endometriosis.
And just when they achieved a massive medical victory and finally regained control over her body, they had to watch an AI algorithm hijack that reality and feed it to a public that felt entitled to their medical milestones.
And then the ultimate test, navigating the very real physical danger of fame when an intruder breached their property line in the middle of the night.
They fought off the digital ghosts and the physical threats just to safely reach a point where they could stand in front of a wall of flashing cameras and share a joyous human moment. But it leaves us with something very heavy to consider about the ecosystem we all participate in.
We demand a staggering amount of authenticity and access from public figures today. We want the sonogram pictures, we want the medical vulnerability, we want the inside look at their homes.
We do. And here's a final thought for you to mull over, taking everything we've learned today into account. We've seen how the digital world can instantly fabricate a celebrity's private life and how the physical world can violently invade their sanctuary.
Yeah.
If the cost of sharing a genuine human milestone is enduring AI-generated biological forgery and armed home invasions, how much longer will public figures be willing to share anything real at all?
That is a great question.
Are we rapidly approaching an era where celebrities will completely retreat behind physical fortresses and entirely artificial AI-generated PR personas simply because the true cost of authenticity has become far too dangerous? Think about the invisible armor people are forced to wear the next time you scroll past a perfect picture on your feed.
It's a sobering reality behind the flashbulbs.
It truly is. You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.